London buses mobbed by millions as Starmer vows to end immigration in major cities. UK states in flames, and 134,668 affected. London woke to a city in motion, and then to a city overwhelmed. By 6:05 a.m., double-decker buses along the A40 and the Strand were no longer vehicles but barricades, surrounded, halted, and physically rocked as surging crowds spilled from pavements into roads. Transport for London confirmed that 312 routes were suspended within the first hour, not because of mechanical failure, but because buses were being mobbed by protesters in numbers never recorded in the capital's modern history. Drivers locked themselves inside cabs as passengers fled through emergency exits. By 7:10 a.m., control rooms logged the first mass shutdown. London had effectively stopped moving. The trigger came hours earlier. At 11:47 p.m. The night before, Prime Minister Keir Starmer issued a hardline statement from Downing Street, vowing to end uncontrolled immigration in all major cities. Within minutes, the clip spread across TikTok, X, and Telegram, clocking 9.6 million views before dawn. Supporters hailed it as overdue. Opponents called it a declaration of war. By sunrise, both sides were on the streets. At 8:02 a.m., police helicopters confirmed crowd density exceeding safe thresholds across Westminster, Camden, Southwark, and parts of East London. The Metropolitan Police activated a level for public disorder protocol. It didn't matter. The numbers were beyond planning models. Internal estimates suggested crowd participation had crossed 1 million nationwide by mid-morning, with London bearing the epicenter. Buses became symbolic targets. Protesters climbed onto roofs, unfurled banners across windshields, and chanted through open windows. One viral clip showed a Route 73 immobilized for 46 minutes as protesters sat in front of it, palms raised, chanting, "No more lies." Another showed a bus surrounded so tightly that the doors could not open. Emergency services struggled to reach incidents. Ambulance response times doubled. Hospitals in North London declared internal incidents as staff were unable to arrive for shifts. By 9:34 a.m., the Home Office released the first figure. 134,668 people directly affected by transport paralysis, missed medical appointments, workplace shutdowns, and school closures. The real number, officials admitted privately, would be far higher by nightfall. Fires broke out shortly after 10 a.m. 2 in Birmingham, 1 in Manchester, 3 reported across Greater London. Police would not confirm causes. Social media did. Footage showed bins pushed into roadways and ignited, smoke rolling between red buses frozen in place like stranded animals. By 10:41 a.m., armored public order units were visible near Whitehall. This was no longer a protest. It was a national seizure. Starmer's vow, intended as a line drawn, had instead become an accelerant. Supporters marched carrying Union flags, shouting that cities had been lost. Counter-protesters answered with flares and drums, accusing the government of collective punishment. The state attempted balance and achieved paralysis. At 11:18 a.m., a police commander's voice leaked over an open channel. "We cannot clear the buses without escalation." The instruction from above was restraint. The streets did not reciprocate. By noon, London's transport map resembled a blackout. Red lines everywhere. Movement reduced to foot traffic and fury. What unfolded was not organized by a single group. It was convergence. Anger found infrastructure and sat on it. Buses, visible, everyday, unavoidable, became the stage. The vow to end immigration in major cities was meant to project control. Instead, it exposed how fragile control had become. As smoke drifted across the Thames and stranded commuters filmed from rooftops, one truth settled in. When millions move at once, policy becomes spectacle, and the city becomes the message. By 12:27 p.m., the disruption radiated outward from the capital like a shockwave. Liverpool Lime Street suspended services as crowds flooded access roads. Leeds reported spontaneous walkouts. In Bristol, protesters blocked depots, preventing buses from even leaving their yards. Transport unions issued an emergency bulletin warning drivers not to attempt routes without police clearance. Many ignored it. Several were met by human walls. In Croydon, a bus was surrounded by hundreds chanting in unison, fists pounding metal panels until the vehicle shut down. Passengers were escorted out under police guard, faces covered, phones raised, broadcasting the moment to millions watching live. The scale defied precedent. At 1:03 p.m., the National Police Chiefs Council circulated an internal assessment. Public order resources were at critical depletion. Mutual aid requests were sent to every region still functioning. By the time reinforcements arrived, the streets had already reconfigured themselves. Makeshift checkpoints appeared. Protesters directed traffic. Some handed out water. Others hurled abuse. The city fractured into zones governed by mood rather than law. Starmer remained inside Downing Street. At 1:41 p.m., Number 10 confirmed no further statement would be issued until calm is restored. That sentence detonated online. Calm was no longer a goal. It was a memory. Counter-protest groups mobilized aggressively, accusing the government of scapegoating migrants to cover systemic collapse. Clashes erupted near Vauxhall Bridge. Police lines buckled briefly before reforming. Shields up. Batons ready. Orders unclear. By 2:15 p.m., the first confirmed fatalities were reported indirectly through hospital sources, though officials refused to comment. Emergency departments across London activated disaster protocols. Surge tents were erected. Doctors described a flood of injuries, trampling, smoke inhalation, head wounds from thrown objects. Outside, the buses remained frozen, many still surrounded hours after first contact. Aerial footage showed a surreal pattern, red rectangles trapped in seas of people, the arteries of the city clogged by bodies instead of traffic. At 3:02 p.m., the Treasury released an estimate of economic impact. Billions lost in a single day. Markets dipped. The pound wavered. International media cut to live feeds, anchors struggling to explain how a transport system had become the focal point of a national uprising. In Paris, officials quietly increased patrols. In Berlin, statements urged calm. In Washington, travel advisories were drafted. Back in London, rumors spread faster than facts. Claims of border closures. Claims of mass deportations already underway. None verified. All believed. By 4:20 p.m., 134,668 affected had become a conservative figure. Schools closed early. Courts adjourned. Deliveries stopped. The city entered a strange stillness between surges, punctuated by chants echoing off concrete. Police commanders admitted privately that clearing the buses would require force on a scale unseen in decades. The question was no longer how to move them. It was whether moving them would ignite something that could not be contained. The vow that began the night before had stripped away ambiguity. Immigration had become the axis upon which everything else turned. Governance, order, identity, trust. As dusk approached, flares ignited across bridges, their red light reflecting off bus windows like warning signals. London was no longer a network. It was a pressure chamber, and every hour sealed it tighter. At 5:11 p.m., dusk pressed down on the city and the temperature dropped, but the crowds did not thin. If anything, they hardened. High-visibility jackets appeared among protesters, self-appointed marshals attempting to impose order where the state could not. Some guided elderly commuters through gaps in the mass. Others used whistles to coordinate blockades. The buses were still there, engines long dead, batteries drained, drivers evacuated. They had become monuments to paralysis. At 5:39 p.m., the Metropolitan Police confirmed 412 officers injured nationwide, many from blunt force trauma, others from exhaustion. Leave was cancelled indefinitely. Food deliveries to stations were delayed. Officers shared protein bars and bottled water scavenged from shuttered shops. By 6:02 p.m., fires burned in 5 boroughs simultaneously. Smoke rose behind the skyline, confusing tourists who initially mistook it for controlled displays. It was not. In Hackney, a depot fence was breached. In Peckham, a bus shelter was torn apart and fed into a fire. Social media numbers climbed faster than official statements. A single aerial clip of Oxford Circus, packed shoulder to shoulder, surpassed 18 million views in under an hour. The caption read simply, "This is not normal." At 6:28 p.m., the Home Secretary convened an emergency COBRA meeting. Leaked attendance lists showed senior military advisors present, though no deployment was announced. The rumor alone was enough. Talk of troops on the streets spread like static. Some cheered. Others panicked. By 7 p.m., supermarkets in several areas closed early as staff were unable to leave safely. Shelves emptied in minutes. Generators hummed behind locked doors. In the streets, chants shifted. Less slogan, more accusation. Names were shouted. Policies reduced to insults. Starmer's vow, replayed endlessly on phones held aloft, became both rallying cry and target. At 7:34 p.m., counter-protesters surged toward a bus immobilized near Waterloo, attempting to reclaim it symbolically. Police formed a cordon. It failed within seconds. Bottles flew. A flare burst against a shield, scattering sparks. The line retreated 20 meters. Commanders ordered a tactical pause. There was nowhere to advance. At 8:10 p.m., Transport for London admitted it had lost real-time visibility of much of the network. GPS units were offline. Cameras disabled or obscured. The city was operating blind. Emergency broadcasts urged people to stay indoors. Many were already stranded outside. By 8:47 p.m., reports emerged of vigilante groups forming in outer boroughs, claiming to protect neighborhoods from spillover unrest. Police urged restraint. Few listened. As night fully settled, the red buses, still mobbed, still unmoved, glowed under streetlights like warning beacons. The number affected climbed again, quietly updated on an internal dashboard. No announcement. No reassurance. Just a rising figure, ticking upward as the state searched for words strong enough to regain the streets.